Today we are going to be discussing Campbell diagrams in Apex DX. Here I have taken the liberty of already creating a Campbell diagram. You can see here that I have limits loaded in already, as you can see my mode lines. I also have it default set to alternate between limit modes, so blue and green alternates in between peaks that are selected and assigned to the alternating modes. One of the first features that I would like to show is the floor, ceiling, and z-axis range settings here on the left side of the Campbell. I can simply click and drag on these to adjust my floor and ceiling for the Campbell diagram. If I wanted to pull my ceiling up or down and my floor, I can just click and drag on those, as well as change my axis range here with the up and down arrow keys. I'm going to leave this set to 1 here. For more settings, I can right click and go into plot options, where I have the same settings here with the z-axis range, ceiling, and floor, as well as a host of other options. The first one that I will highlight here is the display modes. Standard is the default, but I can change to color contour, phase, color phase, and limits here. As you can see here, this will color based on a percent limit. So here you can see my range now on my percent limit over on this side as well. I can also adjust my EO line display, turn off my EO line display here, set it to custom if I only want maybe EO 48 to have a line. Now you can see that EO 48 is like that. I'm going to go ahead and swap this back to auto, however. We can also change our draw mode to integral, non-integral, or none, which will remove all peaks from the Campbell diagram. Going to again switch that back to all. And we also have a symbol setting here where I can change between double tick, single tick, circle, square, diamond, up triangle, and down triangle. We know a lot of our customers enjoy seeing the circle here as well. You can also change the symbol angle here in degrees. With a circle, it won't make any change, but if I change back to double tick, I can say 45 degrees and change the direction here. And also here I can decide to draw noise or remove it from the Campbell if I am using the peak noise elements. We have another video available on peak noise if you're interested in that. We can also set our EO significant digits here. The next thing that I would like to highlight is this alternate modes. I mentioned this at the beginning of this video. If I swap back over here to standard, also going to set that back to 0. I can turn this on and off, which will no longer color the alternate modes back and forth. You can also set the mode colors for those alternate. If I select one of my mode lines here, you can see that it will highlight the points in the first color in that settings area associated with that mode line. Finally, I have markers where I can select what information should be shown in my markers. By default, there is a host of information that is shown whenever I select a point. So if I select here, you can see I have my frequency, magnitude, speed, block, etc. If I would like to see more information than that, specifically regarding my modes, I can select my first bending limit, for instance. So if I select limit 1B, and I come down here to my first bending mode, I'll hold shift and scroll, and that will allow me to zoom on only the y-axis here. I can select a point, and now you can see here what my first bending limit is for the point that I selected. I'm going to middle click to reset the zoom. The next feature that I would like to show off is the Campbell Slice feature. At least that's what we call it around here. This is available if you click and drag on the axis here of the engine orders. And when I release my mouse button here on EO48, you'll see that it creates a tracking plot for that engine order. Now you can see that I have the information there on that. If you would like to return to the Campbell diagram after selecting these, you can right-click and click on Revert, and that will take you back to the Campbell diagram. This is also available on the x-axis here. If I drag to here, you can see this slice of the Campbell along the speed range. The final thing that I would like to show is how to use the apply to modes when using Campbell diagrams. Apply to can be used for any of the plots in DX. However, there is a special apply to mode called all similar here, which is especially relevant for Campbell diagrams. If I select page or all pages here and I make a change, you can see that both of the Campbell diagrams are going to change. This applies to everything in the general, to the axes, and the Campbell settings here. You can see also that I have set these plots up to have N1 RPM as the x-axis on my first plot and N2 RPM as the x-axis on my second plot. We understand that there are frequently times where you would not like to apply the changes between one plot to another if the x-axis is different, because the ranges could be totally different, especially when adjusting axis settings. So we have added the ability to select all similar, and that will only change the plot that is similar to the Campbell diagram that you currently have selected. So if I have another Campbell diagram with N1 instead of a Campbell diagram with N2, the change will be made. So you can see here now, if I set it to limits, it is going to only be applied to that one plot. So just to drive the point home here, I'm going to create one more set of plots here between an N1 and an N2 here on my Campbell diagram. Here's N2 and we will, N1 and we will do N2, just like this. Now, if I make a change here when selecting all similar, you'll see these two plots change, but these two plots will not. So that's something to keep in mind if you're making batch changes to any of these plots.